a slightly
All right.
mature voice.
Ready?
Yeah.
Action. All right.
Here we
this
are.
This is pretty legit.
Yeah, it feels legit.
I like it. Red Bull. Anybody need a Red Bull?
Please sponsor us.
Yeah. All right. So we had like a little conversation the other day that you just came over. We put on the little mics.
Yeah.
And we just chit-chatted about a bunch of crap that...
It was nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It didn't really result into anything.
No, it did not.
So I wanted to, start like a little series. Let's call this an interview. You know, this is
Feels like an interview.
Yeah, to see if you'll be my co-host one day.
Okay.
I'll see how you do.
Tryouts.
Yeah. So a little tryout, see how the conversation flows, see if you're funny enough.
Yeah. Chemistry.
Yeah, I think we got chemistry.
I think so too.
I like that we're sitting so far apart. That makes it, feel really nice.
Kind of miss being next to you.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna reach. I'm just like, eh. So I wanted to call this first series, is what I kind of thought about, was that I'd call it the X Foils.
Yeah.
Because this podcast or whatever we're doing here, I want it to be mainly about whatever, all water sports. Because I kite, I foil, you used to kite,
Yeah.
and then whoever I have come on the show or wants to be on the show, I don't want it strictly to be about foiling.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's my main love. I think that's your main love also,
For sure.
is foiling now. So I wanted to dive into how people got started, where they came into water sports,
Yeah.
how that developed, what gear they started on, and then what they're kind of starting to ride now. And that's kind of what it felt like would be a good length interview, get some depth into like their lifestyle and how it's changed their life, and kind of go from there. And then for me, I think eventually we'll dive into my story. I'm not too worried about it as this like series goes on, and if I'm hosting it,
Yeah. A lot of people
eventually
get to know you.
my story will come out eventually, or maybe I'll do a one-off of like, hey, this is how I got started into it. This is what I got into. But mainly I want to talk to you, or the guest initially, and see how they got into foiling, or water sports, or whatever you're doing. But you're foiling
I can start from the beginning, pretty much.
from ground zero.
Yeah.
Arland came into the world.
Yeah, on a surfboard. Nah, so I think I was like 5 and 6 when I started kind of like going into the beach a little bit more often than not. And then like the age of 7, my dad taught me how to windsurf. And that's kind of where my whole like curiosity was inspired. Every time I saw like a new water sport, I was like, oof, like I have to try that. Looks better than windsurfing. So that was kind of my motivation. I hated windsurfing.
From the beginning?
Oh, from the start.
Before
Yeah.
you started?
Yeah, you had to carry like this huge board, like half a mile to the beach, and then go back to get this huge sail and walk it half a mile to the beach. Like, I didn't have the gear set up, and I was already tired, So, but it was fun. It got me in the water, and so eventually kiting came to the island. I was in like 9th grade or something like that.
So you were born and raised in Puerto Rico? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes. Born and raised in Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I love it. Love being in the island.
Yeah.
So started windsurfing, then eventually kiting came into the island. It was very fun. Pretty much just hunted down a kiter. Was like, yo, I need a setup. Like, will you sell me this setup? Back then it was like $700 for like a switchblade 10 meter and the twin tip and a broken harness. I was like, perfect. That's all I needed.
And how old were you?
I was probably like 15.
But you weren't windsurfing very much.
No. I stopped the windsurfing probably like a year before that, like 14. It was just too much. It was like boards were getting lighter, but it was still like a very like the setup, just to set up the sail and the board and then walk, all that stuff. For me, it was just too much, and I like kiting. It was like you got a bag, you got the board in your hand. It doesn't really weigh a lot, so it's easier than windsurfing. Little did I figure out it wasn't as easy to learn as windsurfing, especially when you taught yourself. but I had a lot of determination.
Yeah.
So I was able to like just kind of push through the suck and kind of at least eventually go.
It's highly recommended to teach yourself how to kiteboard, yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah. Make less mistakes, right?
No, it is not recommended to learn how to kiteboard by yourself.
No. You eventually do develop bad habits that I was lucky enough to like. I was able to like work them out.
Yeah.
Because immediately once I started kite surfing, I became an instructor. I started working at Goodwin's in Dorado. So I was going to high school over there, and in the weekends and then after school, I would teach, one class, and then the weekends I would be full time. And that's really where I polished my kite surfing skills, and I loved it. It was awesome. Eventually went to college in Daytona Beach, Florida. I taught a little bit over there too, like during the weekends whenever I had a chance.
Kiteboarding.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was very different, 14-meter kites.
Light wind.
I had to wait for like cold fronts, and it kind of like, it was very cold
Yeah.
when all that came on. So, but it was interesting. It was like next to New Smyrna Beach, like shark bite capital of the world. So it was always very interesting kiting in these murky waters, like wetsuit. You just look like a seal, you know, pretty much trolling.
Yeah, I've been kiting a couple times in Florida, and man, I think every single session I saw a shark.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Here I don't see any.
No. I actually
Hardly ever. I've seen a couple,
Yeah.
but it's super rare.
Yeah.
And when you see them, it's like, well, when I saw it winging, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Don't fall.
Yeah. When I saw it, downwinding on a paddleboard out in like rough seas, you're like getting seasick. You're like, that is not awesome.
Yeah. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
So eventually finished there in Daytona, came back to Puerto Rico, and taught a little bit of kiting back in Goodwin's, and then immediately just went on my own, started working, and then got into foiling immediately.
Yeah.
A little bit before the pandemic. So probably like that December of 2019 is kind of where I started, like getting a board, getting a foil, like my first Axis foil. It was like aluminum mast, huge front wing, super burly. Like they had such a thick leading edge back then. And just went to like my local break, and
Well, I'm going to backtrack you because I know you.
yeah.
And
Am I skipping?
Well, I think you started foiling when you were kiting. You were a kite foiler first.
Yeah. But I mean, I did so little sessions. Like I bought that Liquid Force, that wooden board with like a super aluminum mass. It was just like 40 pounds.
Heavy.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Carbon composite wings. So it wasn't even like carbon fiber or like fiberglass, just like a mix of both. Yeah, it was horrible. Like, especially when you're like in light winds in Florida with a 14-meter kites falling off the sky. Like, I'm trying to figure this out by myself as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much then.
Did your dad was windsurfing? That's who taught you how to windsurf?
Yeah, my dad was the one
And
who
did
taught
he
me.
ever get into kiting?
He found it interesting, but he just eventually decided to stay with windsurfing. So he would just windsurf while I would kite.
And does he still windsurf?
Not anymore.
No.
Nothing.
Doesn't wing foil?
I don't know how it drives him crazy, like how it doesn't drive him crazy.
Does he surf?
No?
Because your uncle surfs.
Yeah.
And windsurfs.
My uncle
Still.
surfs, windsurfs. He's a good windsurfer. And then my cousin, he surfs, and then he foils as well.
Yeah. Prone.
Yeah, prone.
Foil, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to winging.
Yeah, he's done it a couple times.
Yeah,
He took
yeah.
some lessons with me,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. It's amazing because
pretty good.
He doesn't, like, right now I'll probably put him on a wing and he'll be able to get up eventually.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Well, he's an athlete, right?
yeah.
He's a really good surfer.
Yeah, he also weighs like half of me.
Yeah, like 10 pounds.
Yeah. Ignacio, te amo.
All right, so you learned how to foil with a kite. You were
Yeah.
kiting, and then you started...
I think learned is a hard, like,
all right, so
tough word.
you tried it.
I tried it.
You tried it a
Yeah,
couple times.
I
And you were
dabbled.
able to foil? You were able to stay
I was able
upwind?
to foil. I was able to go upwind. The issue for me was going downwind.
Yeah, that's
was-
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was amazing to get up to like all these other beaches, but then I was like, shit, I gotta go back now.
when Shadi was learning how to foil, when we learned how to kite foil in Cabarete, she got all the way upwind, and she did a many times. She'd get upwind because that's like
Yeah, it just
the
points.
angle is just like straight upwind because
Yeah.
you're like edging against the board. It's
Yeah.
so efficient, and
Yeah.
then boom, you're straight into the wind.
Yeah.
And she'd push her board downwind and body drag.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I did too.
Yeah,
like
it's
trying
hard
to get the bag.
Yeah, it's hard because you got to keep your board flat.
Yeah.
You got to kind of pivot it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Keep some
you
angle.
You don't feel like there's this tipping point when
Yeah.
you're a beginner. So it's really hard. It's funny that when you're kiting, you're all you want to do is like, I want to stay upwind.
Yeah.
I want to stay upwind. I want to stay upwind. And then you get on like a kite foil,
And you're like,
and
shit.
you rocket ship upwind. You're like, oh my god, how do I come downwind? Like all I want to do is go downwind and go downwind.
Every time I did it, my kite would just come out the sky.
Yeah.
You know, I never.
Well,
you're-
especially-
you're kite looping a 14. You know, it's like.
I think it's common because everyone now that wants to get into kite foiling, they want to learn how to foil for light wind,
Yeah.
right? That's the appeal to it, is
Yeah.
that you can go out in lighter wind and you can kite
Yeah.
in 10 knots, 12 knots, whatever, and
Which is
you're-
great.
and you're not struggling. And most people try to learn how to foil when it's light wind.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to foil, you don't have the efficiency, and you're not really going to get
Yeah.
what you need out of that foil yet.
And
so
then you're dealing with the foil and trying to fly a kite
know,
in
it's-
conditions that you're normally not in. So yeah.
you got to learn in appropriate wind.
Yeah.
But when it's appropriate wind, you're like, I don't want to suck. I don't want
Yeah.
to learn something new.
Yeah.
You know. So you're like, oh, now it's light. Let me learn how to foil. And you're like, kites falling out of the sky. You're trying to like
I
manage
hate
all this.
foiling
Like,
now.
yeah, that's a common thing.
So dangerous.
Yeah, I think people, they don't give up as easy when it's kite foiling because you already know how to fly a kite. It's
Yeah.
easier. I think a lot of people would give up trying to learn how to wing foil.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of pain and suffering
For
that
sure.
can go into that.
For
like
sure.
Today, I wanted to give up.
Yeah. we were close.
Like Oscar was teaching down the beach, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I saw you guys up there. Who was the one that was like coming all the way downwind, like on just floating?" I was like, "Yeah, that was me." I was not gonna give up.
Yeah. Well, I thought worst case scenario, he ends up in Ocean Park,
Yeah.
and I'll just pick him up. Like I'm on foil already.
Yeah.
But you got up.
Yeah,
So
eventually.
interesting contrast with those foils, huh?
Yeah.
I wish we would have gone on the same wing and the same board. That way we could have really compared the foils.
And skill level, because I know
Wow.
I'm better than you, so I'm just joking. I'm kidding. Okay, so you didn't really learn how to foil
Yeah.
with a kite. That was not
No.
your thing.
No.
And when you learned how to, because you learned how to prone
Yeah.
first.
So before I learned how to prone, I had like a year and a half or 2 years of surfing under me. So that was a fun little time. So that way I was able to go in the morning, session in the morning, and then session in the afternoon for kiting or anything like that.
Yeah.
Eventually, I found proning, and then once I was watching all these videos of guys connecting 1-2 waves, it's like, okay, that seems better than surfing. If I can ride longer.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit longer. But yeah, once I got on the proning, it was like game changer.
Yeah.
Like I still enjoy watching my first few clips of me getting up and completely just going straight down, and the stoke level on my voice is just insane compared to like actually surfing a wave.
Yeah. Sometimes you want to go back and be like, damn.
I want to learn again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start over and like have that stoke of being a beginner.
Yeah.
I don't know if you enjoy it.
Those days were different. We had the pandemic, so it was like no work, no responsibilities. Government was paying you.
Nice.
Only thing you had to keep an eye out were for the cops that weren't letting people go like surf.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was like, man, we can go prone all day if we wanted to.
Yeah.
And summertime just hit that time perfectly. So it was like March when I was like really into proning.
Yeah.
That's just about the time where like the pandemic
March
started
March
showing.
16th is when
Yeah.
when Puerto Rico locked down.
Yeah.
That's when Kai was born.
Yeah.
2020.
So much time has passed, huh?
Yeah. 4 years.
4 years.
She just turned 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. But you learned how to prone foil a little bit before the pandemic, or that's
A little
really
bit.
when you did,
Like,
because
I started in December, but I really got into it when I had so much free time.
December
December 2019.
Yeah.
And then like I went to Mexico, and then eventually when I got back, it was for those shutdowns.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got into it because I couldn't surf anymore. Like most of the local surf spots had like extra eyes on it because it was like, oh, that's a surf spot.
So where were you prone foiling
So
when?
I was prone foiling in a spot in Dorado. It's called Goyu.
Yeah.
We frequent that
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much every day. And it's the perfect foil wave for us. You know, it's like a 3-4 foot wave. It's
Yeah,
not
so-
that steep.
So I remember going there with you
Yeah.
in the pandemic when it was still kind of locked down. It was
Yeah.
you know what? It was still open, but they had the weekends
Yes.
closed.
Yes. It
And
was so weird.
And we went on a Sunday, and the gates were closed.
Yeah.
Right? They locked because that access. I don't know. They only open it from 6 till
5:30 to like 7 or something like that. Yeah.
They lock it, which is strange.
Yeah, it's weird.
locking a public beach.
Yeah.
But so they lock it, and because the weekends were locked down.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can't really remember what the purpose of that was.
I forget those crazy times, man.
But
It was
I was talking to somebody yesterday. They were living in the States, and they remember coming here to visit in Puerto Rico and
Yeah.
how strict Puerto Rico was
Yeah.
compared to everywhere else. I guess it's very dependent state to state.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico was very strict.
Yeah. It was insane. We had helicopters that came down to buzz us in the water.
I remember Sean posting a video, and he's like, he was
that's his
surfing,
ass.
and helicopters came down and like circled around him while he was surfing. He's like, what a great use of resources.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out here alone.
Alone,
like,
yeah.
Nobody. Like nobody around anywhere, and a helicopter like over
Like
his
probably
head.
15 feet, yeah, off his head.
It's so crazy.
And the funniest thing, he's just taking his time walking out of the spot, like with his cell phone in the selfie mode, just screaming at the cops through the phone. It was hilarious.
I mean-
Best video ever.
I mean, I don't know if they're serious or what. But,
Well,
I mean, if
No one knew.
if I was a helicopter pilot and that was my job,
yeah.
I'd go buzz over the surfers.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they're
I mean,
paying for
right?
my fuel and my flight hours, like what else are you gonna do? Like, that's
Never thought about it like that, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's like, what he's gonna
I'm
chase him
bored.
down
Yeah,
and
yeah.
take him to jail. Like,
Well, eventually they buzzed the houses because they followed him to where he lived.
What?
And they were just buzzing around through the houses.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. Weird times.
Yeah. Very strange. It's so strange to
Yeah.
think about, like what we were doing
Yeah.
and how we. Oh man, I don't even want to get into it.
But it was kind of like the perfect catalyst for foiling. You know, like people when they got back, when everything started opening up, like there were so many new surfers. So I just remember everyone transitioning to like this new foiling type of surfing where you just go to these spots that no one else goes to. Like I remember in the beginning, like when we used to go, like how many sessions were we just by ourselves? Maybe 1 or 2 other guys, you know, like probably 80% of them,
Yeah.
which is insane. Like you can't, as a surfer, you usually don't get that. So it just gave us way more access to beaches, you know. We were just stoked all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that whole after COVID water sports boom
Yeah.
was insane.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling it. I'm feeling the come down after that. It was crazy.
It was weird. It was
crazy.
weird. Yeah.
You know, being in the industry.
No one knew. No one
selling
knew what,
gear and doing lessons. It
No one-
was
yeah.
it was super crazy.
no one understood what the consequences of that, you know, in the supply chain and all those types of like aspects of the business were going to be affected.
We were just rolling in it.
Yeah, just winging it. Literally.
Couldn't get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Couldn't get your hands on enough. That
Yeah.
was crazy. And then I guess winging came around right. It was kind of becoming popular and more accessible right around that time.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting my first wingboard from Slingshot
Yeah.
when I guess it was still during the lockdown is when I received my
Yeah.
board. It was like sea freighted over.
Yeah.
And I had it in my house and like what were we gonna do with it? I remember looking behind the gates like at the beach because we weren't even allowed on the beach. I
Yeah.
was looking at the beach and it was just windy all summer
Wow.
long. It was just every single day, 20 knots, just like Puerto Rico is in the summer.
That's insane.
And you're just sitting there like,
Yeah, get me out there.
So that's how you learned how to wing,
Yeah.
right? So
You
came,
lent me
Yeah,
that
you-
slingshot wing.
Yeah, you came over. I don't remember what foils I had on it.
I don't even remember what board I used. I know I used
No,
that.
you used
like,
that. You used
old
that big.
lift.
No, you used that big slingshot wing.
The board?
Yeah, that I had. It was a huge one. It was one of the first ones they were making. I can't even remember the name
Yeah.
of it. It was 120 liters,
Wow.
something like that. You took out the wing. It was the sling wing,
Yeah.
and
It was a good wing for that time.
I can't remember what foil you were using, and
Probably some lift or something like that, or an axis. I was still using my axis for
I
that
know,
time.
but I had my foil set up on it.
Yeah.
You just came over and borrowed it.
I remember
because-
that I used that big paddle board, Lift's first version of the paddle boards, but that was like, yeah.
I've got it in the back.
What is that, like 7 foot something?
I don't know. It's huge.
It's a
The
refrigerator.
dude, the tracks are so
back.
far back.
It
You've gotta-
was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
You have to like slam it to the
Yeah.
front of the box
Yeah.
and stand on the tail, like to get that thing to go foiling. It's stable.
hardcore, yeah.
It's stable. It's I don't know how many liters that is. It's just I think it's a stand-up paddle surfboard that someone dropped a track box into it.
Yeah.
Or was it
No,
made
no,
to
it
be a
was made for
board?
foil.
Oh, really? Because it's
Yeah.
got 2 fin boxes on the side.
I got that one, and then I had a prone version, like the first gen prone foil of Lift,
Oh, their lift board.
the Lift board.
Oh, that's cool.
It was great. The same kind of vibe, same type of nose as that one has. Just I think it was like probably like 4.3 or something like that. It was nice. It was a kite. It was a kite board.
But you used it to surf?
I used it once to surf, and it was horrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had one of those kite foil boards from Lyft
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, that's cool. I can't really remember how I met you.
Well, we met on the beach.
Yeah, for sure. Sandy.
Yeah, I was living in Ocean Park for that time, and then
Oh, you know what? I came over and yelled at you for kiting and doing kite loops in the swimming
Yeah.
zone. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, does this guy know who I am?
Who are you? Doesn't he see my back roll grab kite loops
Yeah.
all over top of swimmers?
With a 14 meter?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I saw it, bro. Go away.
Yeah.
Get away from the swimmers.
Yeah. Yeah, you had just started your business like a few months ago or something like that, right?
Maybe a year
Maybe
or
a
so
year or
into
something
it.
like
It
that.
took a while to get everything going
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
But and then you've bought your first piece of equipment that you got from me was that North kite board,
Yeah.
that carbon board,
Yeah.
the Atmos.
Atmos.
Yeah.
Probably used it twice.
Well, then you stopped kiting.
Yeah. I immediately got into foiling.
You don't have any urge to kite anymore, like at all, or
I mean, like,
because I mean I love foiling. I
Yeah.
love all of it. My favorite is the downwinding, as
Yeah.
you know, that you gave up on. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
that's a good time for the sound effect.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And but yeah, when it's really windy,
Yeah.
I guess because you know what, I don't like wearing straps on my wingboard.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I
like
was just gonna
don't
say.
like doing tricks on it.
You know
I
me
can,
so well.
I can do strapless airs and whatever, but
Yeah.
I really today I rode with straps because the board
the
that we
board
took
just
out
had it.
had straps, and I was like, man, I wish I could take these straps off. Because if you put
And I
your,
was the complete opposite. I was like, damn, I wish I had straps.
you know what? Because I don't really worry about where I put my foil.
Yeah.
I grab different boards. I know I don't always ride the North boards, but I know that they have. If you're riding a North board, you put it in the same place on
Yeah.
every board because
Yeah.
that's how they're balanced. But I just drop it in and
You just move
I
your
just
feet.
move it around, and then
Yeah.
when I get up on foil, then I just.
Oh, there's Jose.
Jose.
Take a little break.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Interesting turn of events there.
That's cool. Little
Little sail.
yeah, little board sale after hours. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let's remember what we were talking about.
Probably foils.
That's a good guess. That's a good guess.
No, we were talking about those slingshot.
Oh, how I hate straps.
Oh, that too, yeah. Yeah.
No, we were talking about I was winging with those straps.
Yeah.
And how I don't specifically put my foil anywhere unless I'm downwinding. It's very specific.
Yeah.
And I'm very careful of where I put my foil, and I'm picky and choosy. But with winging, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just put it wherever, and I
Well,
move.
yeah, when you
and I-
have power.
And then I move my feet around, and I like, oh, it's too far forward. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Bah," I slam on the front. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really matter. So having straps today, and then the wind was really light, and I had to have my feet there, and I was like, damn, I wish I
Yeah.
could put my foot
A
just
little bit back.
no, a little bit forward. I
Yeah.
put my foil too far forward.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I was talking about how, that I get these urges to kite
Yeah.
still, and that I'm surprised that you don't, because that you're into the winging, the
Yeah.
freestyle, and you're jumping and doing spins and backflips and 360s and stuff, and I'm just not. I
And
don't.
also surfing, it's just like it's a little bit more intimate surfing with a wing foil than with a kite, because the kites are just always constantly pulling you that one way, and well, you can't maneuver to the other side, And with wing foiling, once you're on the wave and you're feeling that energy, you can cruise wherever through the wave.
Yeah.
So you can really get in the pocket and stay in the pocket. Very
Yeah, but I'm
comfortably.
not talking about kite surfing.
No,
you
I know, but
Did you kite surf much?
I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I more talk about just when it's really windy and it's over 25 knots,
Yeah,
28, or
big-
it's blowing 30.
Just big jumps.
I just don't have any urge to go winging.
Yeah.
Like hold down a wing and go like fast or.
Yeah, give me a 2.9, 3.5
Yeah, and then
wing
you're
there, and I'm
boosting.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I like, that's when I want to like go on a kite
Yeah.
and boost and
For
do some
sure.
big airs
For
and
sure.
spins and yeah, it just came to me that, yeah, you haven't kited since you started winging.
Yeah. I've probably kited
it's probably been-
twice. I probably kited twice in the 4 years.
Yeah, it's probably been 3 years since you've flown a kite, right?
Well, 2020 probably is when I dropped the kite. So getting close to like 4 years.
Yeah.
Haven't looked back since.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly why I want to dive into the X foils like this.
Yeah.
Is what? Let's go into the X files foils.
Why is this case so
What?
so interesting?
Why is this case so interesting that every time somebody gets on a foil and
They
they
hate
really get
everything
into
else.
it, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
It's the same for surfers. I've met a lot of surfers, and unless they grew up like from 16 and now they're like 40 something, 50-year-olds, they'll still enjoy like surfing and longboarding. But the younger generation, it's like they just prefer the whole surfing, like proning. I mean,
Oh.
yeah, like once they go prone, it's like wow, like it's a little bit more effort, but I enjoy the effort, and then I get double, triple the reward.
Oh, surfing on a foil?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Preaching to the choir, sister. I've never surfed.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
So I learned how to
prone.
surf on a foil.
Yeah.
Never stood on a surfboard. No, that's a lie. I've been on like a giant
Almost
foam
paddleboard.
board, whatever,
Yeah,
paddled
yeah.
into foamy and
Yeah,
stood
yeah, yeah.
up, and it was just super boring. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would I surf?
Yeah.
And then when I learned how to foil, I learned how to surf. Sorry, I learned how to surf on a foil. I mean, I just don't have any urge to surf. All I do is I look at people and all I see is drag.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
All I see is just lots and lots of drag. No, I get it. When we're out there towing in caballos,
Yeah.
out at the outer reef, and we're towing foiling, and there's
It's like double overhead.
and there's some guys surfing there.
Yeah. They'll make that look rad.
Yeah, they make it look cool. Like
Yeah.
that's when I'd be like, damn, I could possibly
Yeah.
get on a surfboard and try it, and then it passes, and then
Yeah.
I get on my foil and I just go.
Yeah. This is way better.
Well, it depends. I'm on those big days. They're not my favorite days to foil.
To foil.
Yeah, on those really big days when it's fun because, I mean, you get out there, you prep the ski, you
Yeah.
make a plan, you make sure that your head has really got to be in the game.
100%.
Everything you've got to be. If you're a foiler, you've got to be good. If you're a ski driver, you've got to be
Yeah.
good. But it's exhausting because when you're driving the
Mentally,
ski, you're
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
When you're foiling, you're
You're
on.
on,
Like there is
yeah.
no break, right?
Yeah. I think you would be even like more mentally stressed when you're like the foiler because you have less control of the situation.
Yeah.
you know, you're kind of like figuring out like, should I let go of the rope and start pumping now?
Well, sometimes there's no option.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, you turn the ski around with a whip. Like,
Yeah.
there's no holding on.
Here I go.
Yeah. Here I go again on my own. Na, 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 na. So I do enjoy towing into those big waves because it's fun, because it's also a partnership, right?
Yeah.
When I go out with you, I go out with Walt, whatever.
Yeah.
You got to be really comfortable with the guy that you're going out with, because, you know,
He's kind of
situations.
your life in his
Yeah.
hands. Yeah.
But my favorite days, if I would be towing, my favorite days are 4,
6 foot.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Comfy.
in that range where you can really surf it and you can cut
Yeah,
back and you
yeah.
can go into the, you know, be in the pocket, hit
Yeah.
the foam or whatever. Because
I mean,
when you're just out running the wave,
Yeah, it's
that's when I see the surfers and I'm like, I would like to surf this big wave.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they're actually surfing it.
In the pocket.
And I'm like,
yeah, just straight lining it down. Yeah. Yeah, it does
But-
kind of feel like that. But nowadays, like, foils are getting so much better.
But it passes very quickly.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
of
yeah,
course.
look at all that drag.
That inefficiency disgusts me.
Yuck. 3 fins, 4 fins?
Yeah.
Yuck. No fins.
One mast.
One mast, one life.
No, it's honestly, I love big wave towing. It's just like super exhilarating. But
Well,
yeah,
you stress me out, bro.
yeah, I stress myself out too.
Yeah. Sometimes you get wacky out there. Like, just chill out. I got this.
Yeah.
You know?
I just feel more in control when I have the straps on. Once I don't have the straps, that's when I start worrying. Those bottom turns just become a little bit more sketchy.
Man, I don't know. For me, wearing straps just feels sketchy. No, I see it. Like, I watched that video of Gnarly Marley.
Yeah.
You saw that
Yeah.
wing video of him,
Yeah.
like, shredding
Yeah.
with that new wing?
Yeah,
Man,
he's really good.
he's
He's really good.
So I was-
he's so underrated.
Dude, that's what I sent him. I'm like, I think that's what I posted.
On
That
your
he's-
story?
He's so
Yeah.
so underrated.
Yeah.
I was, and that's when I was like, damn. That made me want to put on straps a little bit. Watching him like boost those airs and like, oh
And just
man,
carve.
just so insane,
Yeah.
so crazy. He was like full tilt.
Yeah.
On that foil and foil out of the water, in the water, board, like
Yeah.
he just was always on.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I would break my ankle. That's,
I'd probably breach a
he's
few
young.
times.
He's
yeah.
young. He's small. He's super cool.
Yeah.
We've hung out a couple times.
That's awesome.
Yeah, at the AWSI, and he rips.
Yeah.
And just every time I mean, that was September. So, and then since then, I mean, he's just at another
Yeah.
level. Every time you see him, he's just at another level,
Yeah.
at another level. But that's the only
And
time
so
I
comfortable. So
Yeah.
comfortable in those like that pocket situation.
yeah.
You know.
So that was a week ago, and that's when I felt like, I see the benefits of the straps.
I try to preach. I try to preach.
But I'm still not there. I don't feel it. Eventually I will, for sure. I'm still in my prime.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still young.
Yeah.
I got time.
I mean, the only added benefits is that you pump a little bit better, carve a little bit better, jump a little bit better. So I mean, like, if you want to get a little bit better, you know what you got to do.
Just for me, the foiling was because I kite, and I still do kite.
Yeah.
I'm still pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And I can jump, I can do airs, I can do whatever, you know. And I've been doing that for a long time. For me, foiling was always a flow thing.
Yeah.
Like being on the water, flowing
Yeah.
long turns and
Yeah.
carves, and you know, I liked that flow. Even when I kite foil, that's what it was about. At the beginning, I had straps, like front straps. I had straps on my board.
Yeah, I
but
remember.
when I was kite foiling, but I never jumped with it.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. I've done it a couple times. It just feels weird.
Well, jumping on a foil with a kite is a little bit more sketchy, I'd say.
But dude, there's some guys that are doing crazy things.
That's what
I
I'm
was
saying.
in
They
Hood
look
River.
sketchy, and
I was in
that's
Hood
insane.
River watching these guys from F1.
Yeah.
This French guy.
Or the slingshot guys too.
Yeah. I was but that guy does strapless stuff.
Yeah, that's
like
insane.
Fred Hope.
Yeah.
That's sick.
That's
Like,
insane.
that would be more my style.
Yeah.
You know. If I could,
Quite a style.
Quite a style. You know? If that would be my style, that would be my style.
Yeah.
But it was lit it was lit. I was on a 10 meter. I was boosting, doing big loops, and he was on a
Foil.
6 meter
Wow.
on a foil, and he was going. I was watching it. I was like, bro. I was looking at him like, you local man. And he's like, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm like, shit. Oh, I'm like, okay. And then I went out, and I the next day I jumped with my foil, and I was like, yeah, like no, that does not
Not the same.
I don't like it.
Well, the freestyle in the winging is awesome because you can really combine it with the surfing too, and that's when it really gets interesting.
So that's what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like. Look, it's super impressive, and I can't do it, and I know how hard it could be.
Just freestyle.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
freestyle, like these, big airs and
Yeah,
loops and spins and
720s
backflips
and-
and whatever. But then, like a video that you posted, you were doing like a 360, like on the wave, and then come out of the wave,
Yeah.
and watching Marley,
Yeah.
do what he was doing with the straps, but
Yeah.
on the wave.
Exactly.
That's when it's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
when I really enjoy the freestyle aspect when
Yeah.
you combine it with surfing.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, foiling, the reason I got into wing foiling and the proning
Mm-hmm.
is because, yeah, you can't really, like surfing on a kite, I've done a lot of it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But then once you do it with a foil
Yeah. And a
that-
wing.
and a wing,
It's
and
just a little bit more intimate.
yeah, they're like, well, it's, I can foil with my kite and surf waves. I'm like, no.
No.
I'm like, no, you can't.
Well,
Like,
I see the guys kiting with the surfboards when we're winging, and it's
Yeah.
like
it's
just
cool.
the same thought as always. I'm like, just like,
So
so
there's-
glad I do foil
Yeah, but there's a day, right? Like, if
on those bigger days.
yeah, when it's really big and it's 10 foot out there. I've been out there with a wing.
Yeah.
It was probably not 10 foot. It might have been 6,
Yeah.
and it's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
I've been in that impact zone. I've
You just
been out there,
mistime
way
that.
out there.
Yeah, you
oh my God.
mistime that inside, and you're done.
I've been lucky.
I have not.
I mean, even if it's, you could be unlucky even if it's 2 foot.
Yeah, you're right.
You've
right
been
now.
unlucky when it's 2 foot. We've repaired your wing.
Yeah.
I've seen the damage.
That was not a 2 foot day. That was the 6 foot day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that was gnarly.
I remember that.
It was pretty much. It pretty much happened like You remember that last wave we just took today? It was like a closeout, and we were like in the fucking super shallow reef, like all that white water.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine that wave a little bit bigger.
No, I mean, I know exactly where you wiped out.
Yeah,
I know exactly where you were. I've wiped out there.
yeah,
And I've been in the wishy-washy. But when it's like 2 foot.
yeah. A leash helps.
Yeah. You weren't wearing a leash?
No,
A wing leash?
no. On the
board?
On the board, no,
Yeah, you were.
no.
Really?
It got caught on my wing.
What do you mean it got caught on your wing?
It got caught on the wing. So like when I got when that wipeout
Yeah.
in particular. So I fell forward when the wave crashed. So my board came behind me, went above,
Oh, over
penetrated.
top of you,
Yeah,
over the wave.
yeah, penetrated the
Nice.
wing.
Nice.
Yeah, no. I'm telling you.
Scorpion.
Penetrated the wing, and then it got kind of caught there until it ripped through it.
Yeah.
And then once it ripped through it, it was like the wave had lost a little bit of energy. So I was able to like keep it
Oh.
and then just belly rode it in.
And you weren't wearing a leash.
No.
Yeah, well, I would definitely wear a leash if
Yeah.
I'm going all the way out there.
Yeah.
What is it,
Lesson
half a
learned.
mile offshore?
Yeah, something like that. It's
More
like
or
the
less?
it's the outer reefs of Ocean Park.
Yeah.
For whoever's in Puerto Rico and understands that.
Yeah, puntas.
Yeah, puntas.
You could just say puntas.
Puntas.
The outer reef of Ocean Park for all those
Well,
listening.
we get all
No,
that wave.
Yeah. There's a bunch of
few,
waves
yeah.
out there, and very uncrowded. Everybody is welcome there.
Yes. Yes.
Arland's worried about me exposing all his secret spots.
Just a few.
Just a few. We'll put that on hold. We'll wait for you to be gone. We'll take a quick break just now. Oh, shit. That's the wrong one.
Or was it?
No, we got to get more sounds.
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
figure out which buttons they are too.
This is
I can,
gonna be hilarious.
Bam, bam, bam. So yeah, foiling, wing foiling, surf foiling, and that's pretty much all you do.
Yeah.
And
And I love it.
yeah, toe foiling. You're my mainly my tow foil partner, which is really good. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
We have a
Sometimes I don't appreciate you, but
we have a love triangle.
no, it's gotten better for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. We
It's
have
great.
a love triangle.
Yeah, between you, me, and Walt. You know,
Oh.
we're like the perfect 3 partners. If I can't go, Walt usually goes with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah, that's good.
So-
And then sometimes all 3.
Yeah.
When it's not huge, going with 3 people is not a big deal.
No, and it's fun. You know, you're just shooting the shit most of the time.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
backseat driving.
It's not fun taking a third person on the ski if they don't know how to be on a ski.
No.
'Cause they're like,
Yeah.
they don't know how to counterweight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know where when you start to turn, you know where to
When-
lean and
yeah.
how to go, and then the other person's
Yeah.
not doing anything. They're just sitting in the back like,
I'm enjoying the ride.
I'm going for a ride. And you're like, oh my God, could you not enjoy the ride so
Yeah.
much?
We're in danger.
We're in danger. I'm here like holding down this 1,000-pound ski
Yeah.
with like your
8-foot wave
your
breaking behind
big
you.
ass hanging off the back. Like, could you please pull it up? Get a little closer now.
Yes.
And so what was the gear that you started on, and then how did you roll through that? And I mean, I know where you ended up now because
Yeah.
you're my team rider.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Proudly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I take care of you. I pay your bills.
You do. You do.
I pay your bills, baby.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. So what did you start on? Do you remember the foils, their names, the sizes? And I mean, at the beginning, honestly, it doesn't.
Everyone
don't
was trying
really-
to figure it out.
Yeah, everyone's figured it out.
Measurements wise, everyone was trying to figure out how
I mean,
the rule of thumb should have been. There's
What
still-
we should do is go back.
Mm-hmm.
We should get the gear that we learned on, like find it, get
Mm-hmm.
it, and go back and have a surf session and see if we feel like a beginner again.
You remember?
You know, it might be like that. It's that hard to
Yeah.
ride that gear.
Yo,
That's
100%.
why we sucked.
Do you remember Freddie?
I'm sticking with that. That's why I sucked. No,
It was the gear.
it was the gear. Let's go back and watch me suck. I'll just suck on purpose. Be like, see, I told you it was the gear.
What foils were you using? Lift?
When I started,
Yeah.
um,
On the surfing? Proning?
that's a good question. When I was prone,
You had the sonar, the first north ones.
I was not using that to surf.
You used it once, I think. I think that first picture I have of you on my camera,
No, that was Armstrong.
that was Armstrong.
Yeah.
You're right.
I was using Armstrong.
1250 or something like that?
I think I was using the 1200,
Yeah.
the CF
Yes.
or whatever that was. I think it was a CF. And then I got the 1125 high aspect is what I was riding.
Wow, that was your second wing.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what I started. That's what I really learned on was
Yeah.
that. Man, I'd really have to dig into that because there's just so much that went on
Yeah.
with everything. And
At that time, we were changing gears so often too.
yeah, but for me, I was also learning into one sport, but all the other sports are expanding and growing. And
Yeah.
I've got to kind of like stay in touch with all of it, the
Yeah.
kiting and the brands and boards
winging.
and twin tips, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
the
yeah.
winging's coming out. And so it's just, there's a lot of blur around trying to get my hands on, like during that COVID time,
Yeah.
trying to get my hands on as much equipment as I
Yeah.
could.
I remember you had like 4 or 5 different companies, just different foil gear. Just hey, like I have it all.
Yeah.
Get down here.
Yeah. And I mean, the next person that I want to
Which
have
was
on,
great for trying gear.
dude, the only reason I have a shop and a school is so that it can fund and buy all the toys that I want to use. Other than that, it's useless.
Wise man.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, it's a business expense. It truly, truly is. I mean, I only sell what I truly believe in, right? So I don't,
Yeah.
I make sure that whatever it is that I'm selling
It's
and
good.
using is good. And
Yeah.
I like to use it and I know it's working and
Yeah.
I know that it's standing up to the test of time. I throw it in the school. I let the instructors use it. I let
Yep.
people demo it. I throw it in the back of my truck. I mean, you should see my demo gear. It's not handled lightly.
Yeah.
And it's for a reason.
Oh, I know.
It's not because I'm lazy. It's because I want to see how banged up it can get.
Before it breaks.
See how, where the breaking point is, how it still works with like a gouge,
Yeah.
in it. The only thing I make sure that I try to take care of is the boards, because it's so much work trying to fix dings,
Yeah.
and when your board is waterlogged, and I really don't enjoy. I'd prefer to make a whole board than to
fix
just
it.
repair one, because it's almost the same amount of
Yeah.
work, because you got to sand
Sand
it
it
and
down,
this
yep.
and dry it and wait to dry it, blah blah blah. It's
Yeah.
just it almost sometimes feel like I could have done a whole deck instead of like a
Just
10
a little, yeah.
centimeter hole or whatever. So I really try to take care of the boards now. I make sure I put them always in a board bag.
Yeah.
I am done throwing my boards around and
Yeah.
dinging them, because
for
I
sure.
know that they can't handle it.
Yeah.
I've tested.
Yeah.
Don't do it. So
Well, you have a board there from like, what is it, like a year and some, that Walt shaped. It's like almost perfect.
oh yeah, and I don't actually treat that very well.
I know you don't. You lend that to everyone.
Not to everybody.
Well, to Walt and a few other people.
Yeah. No, I mean that was. I think he said it, that's the best board he's ever made, and it's mine.
It's true.
Yeah.
He wants it back.
One day he'll get it back. Once I break it.
Exactly. You fix it.
Yeah. Once the box goes.
Yeah. Oh.
Then it's his.
I've used it enough.
All right, so let's go.
Get back.
Backtrack.
Yeah.
What foils were you using?
Here we go.
What's that? Oh, it's Guillo.
Guillo.
Hey, what's up, Guillo? We're busy, dog.
Yeah.
All right, so come on,
Yeah.
Mr. Distractor.
So, yeah, after we learned how to prone, we winged. And then after we started winging,
I'm not talking about sports. Tell me what foils you were using.
oh. Okay,
Foils.
for my proning, I was using a custom like 5-foot board.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was using Axis foils. So I don't remember specifically what I had. I think it was the 900 front wing, and then I had an aluminum mast, aluminum fuselage, and then,
All their fuses are aluminum.
Yeah.
So that's not a shock.
well, it was a great setup in terms of like for me as a beginner, and I look back at it and I should have destroyed that foil. But it just took all the abuse that I ever gave it. Like it got to the point where I would just ram it into rocks and not even check it. I was like, I've hit it harder.
That's what I do now.
Yeah. It's a little bit more expensive now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I learned on that, and then eventually progressed to the.
But you don't know what foil it was. It's just a
It's-
900.
It's the 900, yeah. It was one of their first Axis
Yeah.
front wings.
I think that's the only brand I really don't know much about is Axis.
Because they had a lot of foils for early on.
They have.
Well, yes.
They still have a lot, yeah.
But on those early days, they had a lot of foils. And they were the first ones to really get in early into, like, the pumping aspect of it. Because they had a lot of people that were dock starting.
Oh.
So they, like, really focused on making those wings pumped. They did a great job.
Yeah.
Even to this day, they're pretty good.
I mean, I haven't tried many of them. I assume they're good. They're still a big brand.
You see all these guys, pumping forever on them. So I haven't used them, but
Yeah. So after that 900 no-name Axis foil.
yeah. I used the Lift 170. That's when that 170 high aspect came out.
Mm-hmm.
Probably juiced that for like 2 years. I remember I had 2 of them. So just in case I broke one, because the Lift was a little bit more delicate than what I was used to,
Yeah.
I had the other one. And so eventually they started both as a 170 and just kept getting shaven off. Turned it into like a 150.
The tips as it like grinds
Yeah,
down. You're
every
well,
time.
What is that? Oh, it's a 167.
Exactly.
We'll see after today.
I did that. I got into foil parts for a little bit. It's like this company out in the West Coast. I'm not sure where. I think Cali maybe or San Diego. And yeah, the guy's super cool. He sent me like these aftermarket fuselages, these back wings, and that's kind of when I started experimenting with aftermarket parts and just Frankensteining our boards. We had that No Limits eventually came into the game. That was amazing. So it was like a super Frankenstein board. It was No Limits, 170 high aspect. That's just Guilla. Yeah, I had the 170 high aspect for the front wing, had a long fuse, and then I had the KD tails.
Yep.
And KD Maui started coming out with all those tails. It was amazing. Not just experimenting. I used to have a short fuse when it was bigger days, and I wanted to do more carves. The long fuse.
You were
for when I
so
wanted to pump.
stoked on that long fuse.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. I still, to this day,
What was it, like 90 inches long?
I don't even know, but
it was probably
pretty
like
big.
it was 70 something for sure.
It was up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same.
Yeah.
I went through a little lift period
Yeah.
also when I was on the 120.
Little transfoil
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. Little no limits,
Yeah.
Adapters, tails.
Frankenfoils.
Just, yeah, mixing it all up.
It was awesome.
That 120 was awesome.
Yeah, the 120
still
was
is
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool that that foil is still so relevant.
Yeah. Eventually, once I did get into those longer fuses, I was able to get down to the 120. Because my issue was my cadence was a little bit slow for that 120 when they came out with it. That's why I loved the 170. It was just very calm to like pump out to. You can carve out breach on the wingtips and you can re-engage it very easily. 120 was a little bit harder. Eventually, we got there, but
Yeah.
it was a little harder to get there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to change everything, right? You got to change your pump, your style.
Yeah. Yeah, the breaching was a little harder
Fa-
to get to.
Those are fast foils.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The 120 is fast.
Yeah.
The 170, I remember one day we switched foils out there.
Yeah.
There's a video on Instagram. It was raining
Yeah.
that day.
Oh, storming?
It was storming. It was
Yeah.
raining, and we went proning.
Yeah.
We switched gears
Yes.
that day.
We had that blue KT board or something like that.
I don't remember. I was on my lift board, the 5-footer. I was on Armstrong stuff.
Okay.
And you were on your lift. I don't know
Yeah.
what board you were using, but we switched at one point, and I paddled into a wave, and the amount of lift I got out of that 170 was I'd never felt that before. I was
Just bucking.
yeah, like it took me 3 waves to figure out how to hold the nose down.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like auto pumping for you.
Pretty much.
You know, you'd push it down, it would push itself
Yeah.
up. You'd push it down, it would push itself up. I'm like, oh, it's like, this is like
This
a
is
foil.
easy. Yeah.
This is a foil drive. That was funny.
Yeah.
I remember that sensation. I was like, wow.
Wow, this
It-
is different.
Well,
You were using a smaller high aspect, right?
yeah, and it was faster,
Yeah.
and it felt. I was like, whoa, this is a really lifty, and felt really slow. It was so weird.
Yeah.
I guess also where your positioning was, it was a shorter board. I was
Yeah.
used to that long
Yeah,
board.
exactly.
The tracks were way in the back,
Yeah.
so totally different. But I remember it. I'm like, wow, this lift is lifty.
Yeah.
I never proned the 170. I went straight to the 120,
Yeah, you did.
and that's the only lift foil that I proned was the 120, and I stayed on that for a while.
Yeah.
I really liked it. It was a lot of fun.
You're probably the reason I went down to the 120 because I was having a ball with that 170.
Yeah,
It's like 2 years fully just using that
Yeah.
170. It was awesome.
I remember you'd pump around everybody
Yeah.
just for days, just
was
like
awesome.
pumping. Yeah, and then
120 was cool.
from lift, then
From-
that's
From lift, eventually, I think 2023, like
So-
March area.
so recently.
Yeah, started with North.
Oh, cool.
Pretty much when they came out with
But
that.
I act
930.
surprised. Ooh,
Oh.
interesting.
Yeah.
North, is that what you did?
You sold me on them. On the 930 SF.
Yeah, when the SFs came out.
Yeah.
We went towing that big day.
Yeah.
It was 10 foot or something on the
Yeah.
930.
Yeah, on the
We were
930.
used to the 90,
Yeah.
right? We're like, well, we'll try this 930.
Looks huge.
I don't know. I don't know why everyone just can't get with the square centimeters.
Yeah, I don't know
just,
either.
Just get with it.
But it was awesome.
So I can't remember what a 930 is. It's one
Like a 160 or one.
something like
Yeah.
that. Something like that. So it was big.
Yeah.
It's a big foil compared to what we were used to. And-
Push it to the back and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's what we said.
I don't remember. And we went out with Jorge,
Yeah.
right? Because it was like kind of like when you just started
Yeah.
with you would I guess you tried out a couple of foils, whatever, and you really liked it,
Yeah.
but you weren't sure.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
tried
went
that SF.
towing
Yeah.
when that 930 came out, and we went on that big day with that 930, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It pumped.
now that we have smaller foils, I wouldn't do that because
No,
there's
for
no
sure.
need to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
We were crazy.
it it handled speed
Yeah.
extremely well.
And the carving was really nice. It was refreshing to not have such a lifty foil on those hard carves. You know, something that like just kind of slowed down and just maintained like a comfortable speed
Yeah.
in those like high stress situations.
Yeah.
You know, your bottom turning or your like top turning on the wave.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember those lifty lifts,
yes,
just screaming, you know.
that 90.
Yeah. So that was cool that we got to tow that day, and you're like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
And then you started proning it, and
Yeah.
and
It really felt like a 170. You know, it was a 160, so it did feel a little bit faster. It felt great on the turns because it's not
as high aspect.
exactly. It's not as high aspect, but it's not mid aspect either. It's like somewhere in between.
Yeah, but the tech has changed.
yeah,
So, I mean, I know lift is always on top of it.
Yeah.
Like they've always, I mean, the first foils I ever rode
100%.
were lift, right?
Yeah.
So they've been in the game for a long time. They make foils that are very specific to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Like he really knows what he wants.
Yeah, yeah, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you can't really compare size to size because
No, yeah, for sure.
everyone's knowing how to like, add extra camber and
Yeah.
twist the tips and
Yeah.
add drag at a certain speed. And, I don't ever want to talk tech about foiling
it's
and
too much.
the foil sections and stuff.
I'll talk front wings and numbers
can't.
like that.
I mean, I can talk about numbers. I know
Yeah.
what size they are. I know how to measure something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a man, damn it.
I know how to measure. I don't know how to count, but I can.
Exactly.
But
That's why they say measure twice.
yeah, measure twice,
make
foil
sure.
once. Yes, I can't really talk about the tech of
Yeah.
them, and I don't want to get into the nitty gritty details of foils. I
Yeah,
just know
yeah.
what it feels like. I know what sizes are what, and how to relate a certain foil brands to certain foil brands and their
Yeah.
size to size, because size to size, it's not really a
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
could
what
be-
could feel like a really like wow, that is a tiny foil.
Yeah.
And
it's actually huge.
Might not be that
Yeah.
small, for how
Code-
much
code
lift
foils.
it's got. Yeah, example.
Yeah.
It was like no way. I was, downwinding a 1450. I
Yeah.
was like, that's all I could pop up.
Yeah.
And then eventually I went down to like a 980. I was like, there's no way. And then yes, I could do it. And then they came out with their like,
The
try this
860.
860.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's easier than the 980.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
so it's, all these foil
Yeah, it's
sizes,
just-
it's just,
the tuning of them.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
do, what their magic is. I
Foil
don't want to
magic.
talk. Yeah, foil magic, just like fairy dust.
We should have a button. Foil magic.
Foil magic. Wow.
We will get more buttons.
We'll get more buttons. We
Yes.
don't have many buttons. We'll have to do the X foils. Nice one, Ireland.
Yeah, that was a little too low.
Okay.
No.
Anything else you want to tell people? I guess we didn't really start off with an intro or anything like that. Like everyone knows you sell toilets. I
Yeah.
guess that's the most important thing that people need to know about
I
you.
am the toilet king.
Yeah, yeah. Sitting on them.
Yeah. I can talk shit all day.
Yeah.
What can I say?
That's not why you're the toilet. Yeah. But we are in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk to, people that live in Puerto Rico, that foil in Puerto Rico.
They don't have to
Do
live in
water
Puerto Rico. Hopefully we can invite people to
No,
come
no.
here.
I just say like initially,
Yeah.
you, my next guest, the
Yeah.
next couple of people that I want to have on here. I really want to talk to people that live on the island
Yeah.
and that got into it here on the island. Like Walt, the next one I hope is going to be with Walt.
That's gonna be
It's a
great.
great one
That's
because
probably going to be better than this one.
yeah, well, let's hope so. you weren't my first call, okay? You were just the only one that had nothing to
showed
do.
up. You're just the one that showed up.
No, I like talking to Arland
Yeah,
in this platform.
It's mutual.
Yeah,
Just in this platform.
yeah. Just get a mic in front of me and we could chit chat. Yeah,
Well, we talk every day.
yeah.
pretty much.
Too much. Sometimes you gotta stop calling me.
Well, 7 p.m. is when we're figuring out what we're doing for the next day.
Yeah. So very lucky to live in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
A lot of different spots,
Yeah.
a lot of different conditions, lots of waves during the winter, lots of wind, windy all the way through the summer, 300 windy days a year.
You can figure out what to do like in any day. You
Yeah.
know, there's a every day has a condition for especially if you have a foil
Especially, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not get into it. I'm getting excited here.
Next few episodes.
Yeah. Let the people get to know you a little bit before
Yeah.
you start, you know,
Yeah.
shoving foil drive down their throat.
It's the future. It's the future.
Okay. So anyway, I think that was pretty cool. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It was a good little history lesson. There's some things I learned about you that I didn't know,
There you go.
which is cool. Most of the things I do know, and I know
Yeah.
too much about you.
Yeah, you do.
Let's just not. I don't want people, you don't want these guys to know.
I do not. You have too much blackmail on me.
Let me get my phone out real quick. Yeah, so this was a good, remember, this was an interview for
Yeah.
you if you're going to be a co-host eventually or not.
I think I
So-
have a good track record.
Okay, yeah. I think we got a good back and forth here. There's a good flow
Pretty
going.
confident.
Yeah,
Pretty confident.
Yeah, you just got to buy me more beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be the co-host, you got to bring more beverages.
Just get the whole vibe ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, get it going. But yeah, eventually we will probably be in more of like a formal studio.
Yeah.
You know, something that's got less echo, less people ringing the doorbell to get into the shop.
Less motorcycles doing wheelies and cops chasing after them. Yeah. Well, that's typical Puerto Rico
Yeah.
here.
But I kind of like this setting.
Yeah,
I feel very comfortable in the shop. I
Me
spend a
too.
lot of time in the shop. I like all the goodies that I've got in here.
Yeah.
A lot of them I just want to get rid of them, but
Who doesn't? That's why you have the shop.
No, I like all of it. So that was cool, man. Thanks for joining me and being in this setting and being the first guest on this. Let's hope it's going to be something podcast.
Well.
Episode 0.001.
Well, technically this is the 0.02.
Yeah, this is 0.02. Yeah,
Yeah.
we get a 0.00001 that we made a mess of the other day.
Yeah.
I'm going to delete that off of my channel. So
Well, I mean, it shows how we're growing, like in terms of like just experience. Like I was looking at my first foil videos and it was like, it's a little embarrassing, but I'm glad that I have it there because now I see my new videos and it's like, wow, I've gotten way better at writing, but you always remember where you started. So
yeah, I mean, let's look back at this and laugh at Arland.
yeah, 100%.
All right, peace out, everybody.
Bye, guys.